This is Crazy Chiquita reporting live from Los Angeles, California. Recently, I took a poll over on my Instagram. You can join me at EMWILSS. And I asked you what topics you would want Crazy Chiquita to cover, and this was one of them. First things first, subscribe to my channel over here on the right bottom corner of your screen. And also, if in the beginning, middle, or end of this video you're like, my friend Sally really needs to hear this, please share this video with Sally, with a friend, with your group chat, whatever. One of my main goals in life is to help women cultivate freedom, peace, and joy in their lives. And when we are pining away over someone we need to move on from, we ain't got no freedom, we ain't got no peace, we ain't got no joy. And that's why we're talking about this today. So, how to move on from someone, whether you dated them or not. This isn't an extensive list, it's just a few ideas. Now, as we've talked about before in my ghosting video, there's a scale of stinkage that happens in dating scenarios, right? There are some of you who need to move on from a guy that you knew for 3 weeks. You talked a little bit and you got way too attached in those 3 weeks and you need to move on. There's some of you who dated a guy for 5 years and you still need to move on from that. There's a huge scale in this situation. So that's why I want to offer a couple of overarching ideas that you can think about in order to help you do this. First concrete thing that's really important to do is to feel your feelings, because it can be really hard. Like I said, there's this scale and you might be super attached, it's super hurt, and it might be a really long time that you dated, and you know, it might be a broken engagement for all I know, that this guy you have to move on from, and you got to feel how you feel. And like step into that to say, I feel hurt, I feel disappointed, I feel just confused, I feel betrayed, I feel whatever it is. You got to feel your feelings. It's very important. And to say to yourself, to a friend, I hate feeling rejected, I hate feeling forgotten, I hate feeling always like the second best choice, that I always find a guy and he always moves on to another girl. To feel all those things is very important, because your feelings are valid and it's important to identify with them, because once we feel all those things and we identify what those things are and we allow ourselves to experience those emotions and experience those feelings, then we can do the important part, which is move forward. Because if we want to move on from someone, it implies that we have to take action. There has to be emotion to move on. We sit there, we're like, okay, I'm feeling all of these things, but I gotta make a choice, okay? If I want to move forward, nobody can choose to do that for me. I'm the only one that can choose it, right? And that's what life is a lot about, right? Like I said, I want freedom and peace and joy, but a lot of times, in a lot of scenarios, we have to choose those things for ourselves. Like, our friends can help us all we want. Your friends can like try and help you get over the guy that you broke up with and take you out for a night on town, or get you nails done or whatever. And then you get home and you scroll on his Instagram, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. And they're trying to help you choose that freedom and that peace and that joy of like moving on in your life, and you are choosing to kind of do both of those things, to move on but to not move on. So let's get to that. That's one of the first things that you need to do. Quit refreshing his social media. And I have a video on this called Unfollow Him, but this is so key. And you're like, I can't do it. And I'm like, you need to do it. You need to do it, because we can talk all about how life is choices, right? And that you got to choose, and you just say, I can't get over him. I can't stop thinking about him. And you look at what he's doing, and you look at who he's with, and you look at who's liking his photos, and you look at whose photos he's liking, and you wonder, why can't I stop thinking about him? You know, I just can't get him off my mind. But all I do all day is scroll on his Instagram. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm a woman from the South. But I just can't get over him. And all day long you're looking at what he's doing. Let me think about that for a second. Do you think that computes? Right? Do you think I'm going to move on if he's at the forefront of my mind all day, and I'm always refreshing, and I'm always scrolling, and I'm always looking? No. Absolutely not. It's never going to help. And I have to choose this. You have to make the hard choice to say, I'm going to unfollow him. Maybe I'm going to block him, right? If I'm really having problems, to just go back to it. Even though I'm not following him, right? You can look at someone's profile, even when you don't follow him. You gotta just do it. And you're like, oh, but what if he gets offended? You have to do what's best for you and for your heart. And if the greatest thing that you're considering, if you're taking into account how offended this guy that you need to move on from is going to be when he finds out that you blocked him, there's a problem there. You need to make that choice, right? Nobody's gonna choose it for you. You gotta choose what's best for you. Capiche? Period. End of story. Another concrete thing that you can and should do if you want to take that step to move on is to be intentional about stopping your train of thoughts when you start going down the rabbit hole of, why doesn't he like me? What did I do wrong? What does she have that I don't? We all do it as women. I've been there, where you start asking all these questions, wondering and wondering and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, what was it? What was it about me? What does she have? Blah, 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 and keep going on and on. You have to learn to intentionally stop that train of thought to say, I can't keep looking in the past like that. I cannot keep spinning my wheels. This is especially hard to do because we're in quarantine right now and we got a lot of time to think and we got a lot of time to look back and ask ourselves all of those questions. We got to be intentional about stopping our train of thought to say, is this thinking and, going, is it doing me any good? Zero, right? Zilch-Zilch-a-rama. Does Zilch-a-rama good for your heart, for your mind, and for that freedom and peace and joy that I want you to have in your life, and I hope that you want for yourself too. So you have to decide how you're gonna change that train of thought. Interrupt those thought processes with a word, and one of my favorite words is present. Looking at the present, right? When I start going down that rabbit hole, to say present, Emily, present. We have to look at the present. You can't keep looking back that way, wondering, because it's doing you no good. You have to look at now and you have to look forward. And every time I start going down that train of thought to stop, I'm gonna choose to be present. I'm gonna choose not to look back. I'm gonna choose not to spin my wheels like that. And I'm gonna choose to look forward. Again, choices. And this next step is a Crazy Chiquita classic, which is to go to the mirror and take a good hard look at yourself and ask yourself this question. What do I want to spend my one life doing? Deep. What do I want to spend my one life doing? Do I want to spend my one life that I have, my youth, my beautiful, wonderful youth, pining and crying and obsessing over some guy who has obviously proven to not be the right fit for me, to not care about me, to not want to be with me? There's so many different scenarios, right? It might be a really good guy that you broke up with who just wasn't right for you, but that same question remains. What do I want to spend my one life doing? Do I want to be sitting at home just crying, thinking about the past, thinking about what I wish I could have done differently, thinking about him and how great he was and blah, 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 even though I know that it's never going to go anywhere and that I need to move on with my life? Do I want to spend my life wasting my time doing that? Or do I want to spend my life living? Which is unique right now in quarantine, but some of you will be watching this a year or 2 years or 3 years from now. Do I want to spend my life living? And do I want to spend my life stepping out to say, yeah, this hurts. Yeah, I was rejected and this is really painful and it's hard and I'm gonna have a hard time trusting again, or whatever your situation is that you're going through. But I'm not gonna let this situation, these hopes, these dreams, these plans that I had, this guy, whatever the situation looks like, am I going to let these things control me? Am I gonna let these things dictate my life anymore? Am I going to let my feelings for this guy dictate my life anymore when I know that it's not supposed to be and I have to move on? Or am I going to get to living? And am I going to look at the present? And am I going to look at the good that is in my life right now? Woo-hoo! Here we go. Do you want to look at the past and do you want to spend it pining away there? Or do you want to say, you know what? There are things that I can learn from. That's another good thing you can do. Say, what can I learn from this, right? And maybe write it down. Dear diary, what can I learn from this? There's so many things that I can learn from this experience that I had, but I can't stay here. And I have to choose freedom and peace and joy for myself, for my life, so that I can move forward. Asking yourself that question is very important because it brings you back to the reality of like, okay, yes, I want to spend my life living. I don't want to spend my life pining and obsessing and refreshing his social media. I want to look forward and I want to look at the possibility of finding the guy that may be the right one for me and go forth from there. Because here's the reality that doesn't change, and seriously, we're about to go to church. You are a woman, I'm talking to the woman right now, you are a woman of infinite worth and value, and as a Christian woman, as a woman who believes in God, I believe that infinite worth and value that I have, that you have, is rooted in Jesus Christ, is rooted in the fact that you are made in the image and likeness of God. It says that in Genesis. And it's so important to remember that you have inherent worth and value, inherent meaning permanent to you. It doesn't change. That your value and your worth is not elevated, is not made more when that guy is interested in you, when you have a boyfriend, when you have a guy who finds you beautiful, captive, alluring, captivating, whatever. When you have a guy that thinks all of those things of you, you are not better. You are not more anything. Your value is not elevated. You are still the same woman. And you are not less valuable because that guy broke up with you, because he ghosted you, because he moved on to another girl. It does not diminish your worth. It does not diminish who you are. And that can be hard to believe and hard to accept, but that is the truth. Truth. That is the truth that you have to step into and believe. Because when I really step into the reality that my worth is not more because he likes me and less because he doesn't, that changes everything. And that brings me into that freedom and that peace and that joy that I want for my life. But as long as you, right? And right now, I'm talking to you. As long as you like step into that thinking of my worth is dependent on what a guy thinks or does not think about me. My worth is dependent on whether he thinks I'm cute or whether he doesn't think I'm cute. I'm always just going to be going all over the place with my worth and my value and my self-esteem and my confidence. But if it's rooted in a place that I know who I am, and right, like I said, I'm a woman who believes in God, I'm a woman of faith, and I believe that my worth and my value is in the God that I made in the image and likeness of, it is steady. And if he likes me, great. And if he doesn't, that's fine too. It doesn't say anything about who I am. And that's what I want you to know. And remember, in the process of moving on, you've got to come to a place in your life where you believe and know and just marinate like a chicken in the truth. These are very important things. Thanks for letting me take you to church for a second there. Got a little passion in my crazy Chiquita heart. That's all for today. Again, if you're like, Sally really needs to hear this, send this to Sally, please. This has been Crazy Chiquita. Bing! Reporting live from Los Angeles. Keep those hearts up, make those hard choices, and let's move on together. Talk to you soon.